I'm so glad that I found this whiteboard. It may be a little bit faded right now, but look, like a year and a half ago, at the end of 2017, when I started my IG page, I made a video that was only a minute long, so I condensed a lot of information into it, but it was basically about why do the industry professionals or people that have been in the industry for a long time say that it's 10% about the music and 90% about the business, right? I didn't say this. This is literally what every professional in the music industry, every executive I had the pleasure to meet, anybody that's been making a living in the industry for a while have said the same thing. So let me explain to you why that is. Because there's a huge mistake that a lot of you up and coming artists or independent artists just getting started are making. And it came to my mind the other day when I had a conversation with my business partner. He was saying that, he was talking to an artist, and he said that he saw one of his favorite artists that just got signed make a IG video. Was like, damn man, all I gotta do now is get in the studio for like the next month and turn out some hits, right? And then artist was like, man, that's what I need to do. I need to get in the studio and start turning out some hits. But I'm like, oh my God, it's like the worst advice you could be taking. You know what I'm saying? That's the worst thing you could be watching. In terms of watching an artist that's already in the majors or that got a major record deal, and they're talking about going to the studio and making these hits, because what you don't see in the background is the 90% of the stuff that's going on that is going to allow them to then push that music, to create that larger fan base, to get that music where it needs to be, to get a distributor, to get endorsement deals and sponsorships off of it. So don't make that mistake. Do not be looking at artists that are in the majors that are signed and say, these are the things and strategies I need to be doing in order to get my career, up and going. So let me tell you how you can actually get to a point where a majority of your time can be spent in the studio and on the stuff that's fun. And I know a lot of you guys don't want to hear it because, I made a post recently saying if you want to make in the music business independently, you got to start learning how to, control your finances, how to do your marketing on your own, how to do promotional strategies, how to figure out how to pay your taxes, get some practice reading through some contracts, meet people, network and all that. You're like, oh my God, I don't want to do that. Of course, it doesn't sound fun whatsoever. But let me tell you what you need to be doing. So what this chart breaks down basically is that when you're getting started, in the very beginning, and it's just you need to be spending 90% of your time on the business side of things and 10% of your time on music. So let's say you have a month, right? If you get in the studio for 10 hours within that month to make some music, but you're still spending 90 hours within that month on networking, promoting, marketing, telling your story and your brand on Instagram and other social media networks and all that, that's cool. But a lot of you have that in reverse. You'll be spending like 90 hours in the studio, writing the music, whatever, producing, spending money on the equipment, but not and only 10% on pushing it. It should be the other way around. Like, this is not just your time that you're spending, but also the money you're spending. If you have if you have $1,000 a month, you should be spending around $100 on the music making aspect of it, the product, and about $900 on promoting that music, getting it out there, traveling to meet the right people, networking and all that. Trust me, you're gonna blow up a lot faster than if you do it the other way around. But let me keep going, because if you actually build the team of the resources and the people that you need to correctly take care of that 90% of the business aspect of the music industry, then you'll be able to focus right here. This is you, the rep part is you. Focus 100% of your time on music. So let me keep going, right? If it's only you, 10% of the time on music making, the product, 90% on the business, pushing it. If you got two people, now if the second person focuses 100% of their time on pushing your music and all the music business aspects, then you can now spend 20% of the time in the studio focusing on the music and 80% of the time still focusing on the business. You guys gotta be pushing together. You're gonna blow up a lot faster. Your career is gonna take off a lot faster. Let me keep going. If you got 5 people on your team now, and you got 4 of them spending 100% of their time on the business aspect of your music, now you can spend 50% of your time on the music creation, the artistry, but you should still be spending 50% of your time on the music business aspect. Now, if you have 10 people on your team, see this, 10 people, and 9 of them are spending their time on your business aspect, your publicist, your marketing team, your social media team, your road manager, your business manager, the lawyer, the whole back office that's pushing your brand constantly. Now you can be spending 100% of your time on the artistry if you choose to. I would never recommend doing that. You always want to keep your eye on the business aspect and hopefully manage your team yourself, because you're the CEO, and it's not flipped the other way around where this 90% makes up the label side of things. Is the labels team that's doing all the back end work, the 90% of the business that's necessary, and you are basically working for them because you're only this 10% of this whole pie, right? So this is the reality behind the music industry. I really want you guys to get this through your head, because if you're watching, like I said, if you're watching the artists that are out there right now that are signed to the majors and you're looking at what they're doing, you're not on their level. That's the worst thing you could be watching in terms of trying to mimic or copy strategies and blueprints to make it yourself. You know what I mean? Like, if you're doing that as an artist, that's like the equivalent of an entrepreneur that wants to start a software company or make the next iPhone, and they're watching Steve Jobs at his prime, right? When the iPhone 1 or the subsequent iPhones came out, and he's on stage and he's like unveiling this new product, and he's traveling the country and the world and giving interviews and talking about how Apple is doing what they're doing and all of that. You know, you're not at that place. You're not Steve Jobs. You don't have a company of 10,000 employees that work hard to put that product together, right? A better idea or smarter thing to do would be to read about Steve Jobs and what he did in the very beginning of his career, how he was literally stuck in the garage with his business partner to create the first, Mac that they created, you know what I mean? So as an artist, it's like the same thing. You don't want to be looking at the artists that are at the top to doing it, but you can research how they started in the very beginning, the years that it took them to do the 90% of the part. And some of you are already doing this. If you're like a natural hustler and you know that, in order to create a product, you got to flip it, you got to sell it. You're probably doing a lot of this business aspect already. You're not really, thinking about it per se. You're not really tracking it properly. And, it's like a second nature to you, but you're still doing it. But that's what you need to be doing. So if you're an artist just starting out, or you don't have a huge fan base, and you're spending 90% of your time on making the music and only 10% of your time, money, resources, whatever it is, on pushing it, it may take you 10 years, if you're gonna make it ever, to get out there and make a living off your music. If you reverse that concept and start thinking like a business, operating like a business, then you're gonna blow up a lot faster, and then you'll be able to function within the industry that operates on this concept. It's not a theory, it's not a, something that people say. This is the reality of the business that you want to be in and you want to make money in. That's it.